The sun was a bully. It had been beating down on Faisalabad all day, turning the air into a thick, syrupy heat that clung to everything. Today was the 21st of June, 2025, the longest day of the year, and honestly, it really felt like it. The city, once known as Lealpur, baked under the relentless glare. Dust, fine as powdered sugar, danced in the golden light of the late afternoon, coating the leaves of the sparse trees and the colorful awnings of the shops. The air tasted of petrol fumes, sweet jalebi frying in hot oil, and the faint earthy scent of the nearby farmlands, a perfume unique to this corner of Punjab. It was a day for staying indoors, for sipping cold lassi, and just waiting for the mercy of nightfall. But I was not indoors. I was walking, and the heat was a physical weight on my shoulders. As a history student, I guess you could say I was more comfortable with the dead than the living, more at home in dusty archives than in the bustling chaos of the city. I saw Faisalabad not just as it was, but as it had been. I could almost see the ghosts of British architects walking beside me, planning the Union Jack design of the 8 bazaars that radiated from the central clock tower. I heard the echoes of merchants from a century ago, their voices mingling with the modern roar of motorbikes and the insistent honking of rickshaws. The city was a story, and I was its most devoted reader. At the heart of it all stood the Ghanta Ghar, the clock tower. It was this old, proud structure of red brick, a Victorian relic that had watched over the city for more than 100 years. It was the city's heart, its anchor, the point from which all things began and to which all things returned. Each of the 8 bazaars, Karkhana, Jung, Aminpur and the others, was like an artery, pumping life and commerce towards this central point. For most people, it was just a landmark, a meeting place, a beautiful piece of architecture. But for me, it was something more. It was a question mark, written in stone and time, standing tall against the hazy, unforgiving sky. I wiped a bead of sweat from my brow, my cotton shalwar kameez sticking to my skin. The sounds of the city were a symphony of noise. A vendor shouted about the ripeness of his mangoes, his voice a melodic chant. The metallic clang of a workshop in Karkhana Bazaar hammered out a steady rhythm. Children laughed as they chased a stray kite, their small feet kicking up puffs of dust. These were the sounds of life, ordinary and vibrant. Yet, as the sun began its slow descent, casting long, distorted shadows across the streets, I felt a different kind of energy in the air. A feeling that something old and hidden was stirring, waking from a long slumber under the watch of the Ghanta Ghar. The secret had found me 2 weeks ago, not in the heat of the city, but in the cool, silent air of the university archives. It was a place that smelled of old paper and leather and forgotten things. I loved it there. I spent my hours carefully turning the brittle pages of old municipal records and forgotten newspapers, searching for the untold stories of my city. It was on one such afternoon that I found the journal. It was small, bound in dark red leather, its cover warped by time and humidity. It had no title, no name, just the simple inscription on the first page: Observations of Lealpur, 1903, C. Abernathy. Charles Abernathy, I discovered, was a junior British engineer who had worked on the final stages of the Ghanta Ghar's construction. His official reports were dry and technical, full of measurements and material costs. But this journal was different. It was personal, filled with strange, almost fearful entries. Abernathy wrote not of bricks and mortar, but of whispers and shadows. He described the clock tower not as a machine of cogs and springs, but as something alive. He spoke of a local legend, a story the workers told in hushed tones, about a guardian who would watch over the tower, a timekeeper who would ensure the clock never stopped, not for as long as the city itself lived. The engineer's writing grew more erratic as the pages turned. He mentioned a hidden chamber, a place beneath the tower's foundation, accessible only on the summer solstice when the sun holds its breath. He drew strange symbols, circular and complex, that he claimed to have seen etched into the stones of a secret entrance near the Karkhana Bazaar. He wrote of a peculiar energy source, something that didn't rely on weights or pendulums. It feeds not on mechanics, one chilling entry read, but on the city's soul. It drinks the moments the people wish to forget. Their sorrow is its strength. Their fear is its fuel. The last few pages were filled with frantic, almost illegible scrawls about being watched, about a presence that followed him from the sight. I had felt a shiver run down my spine, a coldness that had nothing to do with the air-conditioned archives. It was mad, of course, the ramblings of a man driven to delusion by heat and loneliness. History was filled with such footnotes, strange tales that led nowhere. Yet, the story took root in my mind. I couldn't shake the image of the timekeeper, or the idea of a clock powered by human sadness. I photocopied the pages, the strange symbols burning themselves into my memory. The journal was a whisper from the past, a ghost story wrapped in historical fact, and it was calling to me, daring me to find out if it was true. Evening finally brought a sliver of relief. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and bruised purple. But the heat remained, trapped in the concrete and asphalt. This was the evening of the summer solstice, the one Abernathy had written about. I felt a nervous energy thrumming through me, a mix of academic curiosity and, honestly, genuine fear. The Ghar loomed ahead, its four faces illuminated. The clock hands moved with a certainty that felt menacing tonight. The tower and its 8 bazaars looked like a giant 8-armed beast sprawled across the land, and I was walking straight into its mouth. I chose to start my search in Karkhana Bazaar, just as the journal had instructed. The workshop bazaar was a labyrinth of narrow lanes, a place of industry and craft. The air here was thick with the smell of sawdust, welding fumes, and hot metal. The sounds were of hammering, grinding, and the whir of machinery, a cacophony that had echoed through this lane for generations. I kept my head down, trying to be inconspicuous, my eyes scanning the old brickwork of the buildings, searching for the symbols Abernathy had drawn. I felt 100 pairs of eyes on me, though I knew it was just my imagination. Or was it? The journal had been specific. Look for the archway where the scent of jasmine overpowers the smell of iron. It sounded like a line from a poem, not an engineer's notes, but I followed it. I walked deeper into the bazaar, past shops selling everything from steel trunks to intricate wooden furniture. And then I smelled it. A sudden sweet wave of jasmine, so strong it cut through the industrial odors. I looked up and saw a small, neglected archway tucked between a welding shop and a store overflowing with fabrics. It led to a dark, narrow alley, a forgotten space between the worlds of commerce. Above the arch, almost completely obscured by grime and the tangled wires of modern electricity, I saw it. A faint carving in the stone. It was a circle with intricate lines weaving in and out, exactly like the symbols from the journal. My heart hammered against my ribs. It was real. The mad engineer's story had a foundation in reality. For a moment I hesitated. This was the point of no return. I could turn around, go home, and dismiss this as a strange coincidence. But the historian in me, the part that craved answers, was stronger than the part that was afraid. I took a deep breath, the scent of jasmine filling my lungs, and stepped into the darkness of the alley. The alley was short and ended at a solid brick wall. For a terrifying moment, I thought it was a dead end, a fool's errand. But the journal had prepared me for this. The door does not wish to be found. Press the third brick from the left, fourth from the top. It yields to belief. My fingers, trembling slightly, traced the rough surface of the bricks. I found the spot and pushed. At first, nothing happened. I pushed again, this time putting my full weight into it, my mind focused on the story, on the timekeeper, on the possibility. With a low groan of grinding stone, a section of the wall receded, revealing a dark, gaping opening. A wave of cool, musty air washed over me, carrying the scent of damp earth and something else, something metallic and ancient, like an old coin. It was the smell of a place that had not breathed fresh air in a very long time. I pulled a small torch from my bag, its beam cutting a nervous path into the blackness. The light revealed a steep flight of stone stairs, spiraling downwards into the belly of the earth. They were worn smooth in the middle, polished by the passage of feet that must have walked them long, long ago. Each step I took seemed to lead me further away from the familiar world of Faisalabad.